The Teamsters President Sean O'Brien speaking to the RNC last week. Here is like just a 20-second clip of some of what he had to say. Not representative of everything he had to say, but it's enough.
And I think we all can agree, whether people like him or they don't like him, in light of what happened to him on Saturday, he has proven to be one tough SOB.
So that was a bit of the beginning of his speech. He did go on and talk about corporate consolidation and power and Amazon and, talking about the working man and whatnot and working people. And it was kind of combative for an audience that had no idea how to respond. They were like, I guess do we hate the rich? I kind of want to be rich / am rich. Is it okay if I'm a billionaire? But that was also part of it. NATO was kind of like giving a lot of credit to Donald Trump, giving a lot of credit to himself for speaking. And a lot of people were actually like, hey, Francesca, what do you think? And I'm sure they asked you, what do you think? Because he got a message out there. He was able to put working class issues, real ones, union issues, in front of a bunch of, elitists, venture capitalist darlings at the RNC. But what was your take of this?
Well, Francesca, and to the Frantifa, I don't think I've been on this show since our live episode in January for Sketchfest, and I haven't been on because I've been. Is that possible?
I think once since.
I've been in negotiations. I've been in the thick of union campaigns for months, and so I'm sort of in a little bit of a lull between some things. Yeah, I mean, first of all, like what Sean O'Brien's speech, like a lot reminded me of these like white dude edgelord backlash comics who were like, nobody can handle how edgy I am, and I'm like, all right, well then say something interesting. Oh, you're not going to? You're just going to talk like you're going to talk a good game about how provocative you are, and then not be provocative,
right?
Like just stop faffing about and say the N-word if that's what you really want to do, and then stand behind it. You know what I mean? And I think the theme of today's episode, Francesca, is learning to live with the contradictions. That we are living with we are testing and growing our capacity to hold seemingly contradictory thoughts at the same time, and not have to resolve the contradictions or pick a side, but to live within their tension and their frisson, if you will.
I don't even know what frisson means. I know what frisé is, if it's anything like it.
Frisson is like when you just like rubbed fully clothed in middle school on some like on the freak train.
So we need to we need to dry hump the contradictions is what you're saying.
It's French for dry humping. Because on the one hand, this year, in the last year, the Teamsters had this incredible contract fight with UPS and like got some major concessions, on the eve of a strike. Sean O'Brien, let's not forget, threatened to fist fight a Republican senator during a hearing.
He did. And Bernie had to be like, "Oh no, stop it! You're a sitting senator."
Republican senator, former UFC fighter, and it reminded me of the old adage that if you're ever betting on a fight between an actual and literally any Teamster from Boston, bet on the Teamster from Boston. So, and most recently, the independent Amazon labor union in Staten Island voted to affiliate with the Teamsters in order to be able to expand and build upon their historic win in Staten Island after being unsuccessful getting a contract. So there's obviously some good stuff happening in the Teamsters union. At the same time, as O'Brien mentioned in his speech, like there is a history of Teamsters endorsing Republicans, partly because of their relationship to the fossil fuel industry, partly because and so what came across in his speech, and I think like I've sort of seen a lot of internal frustration in the labor movement of the way that O'Brien talked about corporate elites and talked about working people, but talking about it in that space to the Donald Trump Republican Party, sort of like continued to play into the like tried and true stereotype that the Joe the plumber, like the typical union member, is a burly white guy from the Midwest, or
Right.
you know, uh, and that's actually not the labor movement of today. Like the typical union member today isn't a burly blue collar white guy; it's a woman of color working in the care economy in California. Um,
Yeah.
that's who the typical union member is, and we have to like reorient. So when we talk about, like, I mean, and that's I feel like the sort of on the left, people like over theorize like what intersectional means, but what
Mhm.
intersectional means at a basic level is like there are Teamsters who are immigrants, there are Teamsters who are queer, there are Teamsters who need abortions, there are Teamsters who are black and are getting fucked with by the cops, and like those people bring all of themselves to their participation in the Teamsters Union. And like, Sean O'Brien got up in front of the Republican Party and said, those people are an important part of the Teamsters Union.
Right.
And it's leading to a lot of, like, someone is already, one of the vice presidents of Teamsters has already declared that they're going to challenge him because there's so much internal discontentment within the Teamsters. The Teamsters social media feed popped off. I'm sure you saw, Francesca, that there was a minute where the Teamsters official Twitter account, while Sean O'Brien was speaking, was tweeting anti-RNC statements that then
Jesus.
later. But the screenshots are out there if people want to look. But like whoever runs the official Teamsters Twitter account was like not having it and challenging
I
Sean O'Brien's speech. So it's a sign that the labor movement is alive and well. The last thing I'll say is like
Yeah.
this is I know like Biden has been a nightmare on Gaza. And when we talk about living with contradictions, and at the same time, this has been the best labor presidency of my lifetime. Um, and and so the fact that there's enough energy in the labor movement right now that on the one hand we have Sean O'Brien who's making a play to like gambling basically. I mean, this is what the Teamsters that I know are telling me. They think that Trump is going to win and that he's going to be the only labor person Trump talks to.
Right.
Um, but
Right.
that,
He was trying to hedge a bet. I mean, and it's not, to me, look, I understand the anger, and I think it's not strategic if you're not Sean O'Brien. You know what I mean? But if you're Sean O'Brien, and I guess if you're a white Teamster, it's like he's hedging his bets. He's trying to get close to the guy he thinks is going to be in power, like everyone is. And especially then when Joe Biden wasn't dropping out of the race. I guess the only thing I could say, I think that's a little bit craven. It's a little bit self-interested. The only thing I would say is I would be okay with it if it was only a bit. If he was like trying to get all of the Republicans there to promise, oh, so you're going to hire union labor, right? Even for your new buildings, Jared? Or like, like
right.
trying to do it as like a fuck you and a hold them to it. But it wasn't that. It was very much tooting his own horn. And to your point about the discontentment, Teamsters HQ in DC, this is according to Kim Kelly's Twitter, is lit up with insults from someone who seems a little unimpressed with Sean O'Brien's RNC appearance. It's a projection of International Brotherhood of Trumpsters. Sean O'Brien is a class traitor. Trump, stand your butt up so Sean O'Brien can kiss your ass, which is a direct reference to what NATO was saying of stand your butt up so I can fight you when he was trying to fight the senator, former UFC fighter, which Jesus Christ. So yeah, people are unhappy. But yeah, he's making a bet and he's perhaps selling out some of his workers in the process.
But it's actually like there's a way that there's enough dynamism in the labor movement right now that the conversation is exciting to me. Like, I know we're going to talk about this later, but like, we're in a moment where on the one hand you have Sean O'Brien who's speaking to the RNC, on the other hand you have Sean Fain of the United Auto Workers who's making the exact opposite argument, saying the threat to working people isn't the person trying to get across the border to feed their family just like we are. The threat to working people is the billionaire class, and we can't let them divide us. That like, I know we're going to talk about it later, but today, it's out that 6-7 unions representing 6 million workers are calling for like an end to military aid to Israel. So, that like having been in the labor movement for a long time, like there are moments where labor reaches a crossroads about like, what are we about? And those conversations are not abstract. Those have to be like actually hashed out in the field of struggle. You know what I mean? Like, people are going to do things in the world, and then the proof will be in the punani.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do